It's Baseball at the Corner. This is the Michigan in Trouble podcast with your hosts, Alex S. Freeman and Luke Jaconis. Well, hello and welcome to the Michigan and Trumbull podcast. I'm Alex Freeman, joined as always by Luke Jaconis. Luke, we didn't coordinate this, but you've got a Western Illinois polo on. I have a Western Illinois t-shirt on. We are
go next, neck up.
We are neck up. Let's just talk about the Leatherneck baseball team. That may be a better conversation.
I honestly
than talking about the Detroit Tigers, who went 1-5 this week.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that. Yeah, this is this was a bad week. I don't know. I don't even really care. Probably a bad way to start when you're hosting a show that revolves specifically around this one topic. But right now, I don't care. If ownership doesn't give a shit, why should I? I mean,
yeah.
Honestly, I think it's so blatantly clear that's where. And for the record, my track record is I didn't like Al Avila. And then I had said prior to this season, I wanted maybe, in light of everything going on in the world, we need some positivity. So I wanted to bury the hatchet and maybe try to sympathize and, coexist and be a fan. That's out the window. After his comments this week about how we don't need Casey Mize, or not that we don't need Casey Mize, but that Casey Mize isn't ready or he thinks he's best served in with the team right now in Toledo. Doing what? What good is him pitching every 5 days to guys like Brandon Dixon, or Frank Schwindel? Like, what good is that going to do him and his progress going to eventually be a starter at the major league levels? I don't know, but I guess it's just, it's the exact same thing why I hate the whole rebuild. Because right now, Al Avila is essentially saying, without saying it, he doesn't care about winning right now. If you don't care about winning baseball games right now, why even playing? Stay home. Yeah. Stay home. Save us. I could have spent 3 hours today going to the pool. It's a very nice sunny day here in Illinois. I could have gone to the pool, chilled out. I didn't need to watch a crappy team, once again underperform. But, it is what it is. So, I mean, I guess maybe that's the Uber fan in me. But, yeah, he just doesn't – Al Avila's in way over his head. He's saying all the wrong things at the possibly worst time when your team's in the middle of a losing streak. This week in general just sucked. It was bad. Lost C.J. Cron. It's obvious. It's blatantly obvious that there's no starting pitching outside of Spencer Turnbull. The only starting pitching that we do have is waiting in the minors, but it sounds like they're not coming up. But then I'm hearing reports that now that Nova's on the IL, that they may be coming up. But now you need two pitchers. It's not just one. Now you need two. So you calling up Matt Manning and Casey Mize, or Mize and Manning, or you calling up Fido, or Skubal? I mean, who knows what's going on? So it's a mess. The bats weren't great. Today was a BS game too. That ball being lodged, I mean, not that it really mattered. The Tigers ended up losing. I think the final was 8-5, so it's not like that run would have mattered. But in a one-run game, had they lost, that would have there would have been some controversy there. But just in a pissy mood. I don't want to be too dramatic. I think the season's over. I do. I don't see. Here's the thing. I think the season's over unless they call up these guys, because right now they have zero pitching. They have zero pitching. There's no one. There is no one. Everybody's hurt or they just flat out suck. So unless they either call up Mize and these guys and get some sort of life, or go out and sign people, or Matt Boyd magically turns into Clayton Kershaw overnight, they're not going to win games this year. They'll be able to hit. The offense isn't too bad. I mean, they left a lot of guys and runners in scoring position these past few games. Cameron Maben, I don't know what's going on with him. I think he's on a different planet right now. I love the guy. I think he's a great leader in the clubhouse, but he's leaving guys on base left and right. Miggy's running through stop signs at third base. It's just a lot. It's just a lot. Yeah,
so there's a lot in that rant that just happened. I agree with nearly all of it, and so kind of to focus us in, you actually it was a really nice overview of the show, Luke. I think you did a nice job of doing that. So kind of to dive us in, let's focus in a little bit on this past week, gameplay wise. Obviously, some bad baseball. But kind of hidden in that, they also lost, I think about Saturday night, they lost that Saturday night game, but I don't think they actually played that poorly on Saturday night. Shane
Bieber's really good.
Went really exactly good. How we talked about it could have gone on a live show on Friday, and that it was going to be a pitcher's duel, it was going to be a tight game. going to be anybody's game, and that's kind of exactly the game we got. And that was actually a Turnbull performance that was less than his best, I think, which is encouraging in terms of the development of Turnbull, but is definitely not what you want to see when you're up against a guy like Shane Bieber. There's a hard way to. It's hard to beat that guy, and I think it's going to continue to be hard to beat that guy for most everybody in the season. I would not be surprised if we get to the end of the season and Bieber's the American League Cy Young winner. Just lights out pitching, just so good. And I mean, that's the thing too. This Cleveland team is very good. That is hard to deny.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. They are good. They have phenomenal pitching, and they obviously can hit the ball well. I mean, with Lindor and Franmil and what's the guy's name at third base? Jose. Can't think of his name right now. Jose Ramirez. Yeah. Jose Ramirez. I mean, they can hit. I don't know. I think they've got really good pitching. I don't think their lineup is. I think if they go against better pitching than us, I think they get smoke showed, and you've been seeing that a lot. So I mean, anyone can beat us right now. I mean, just anyone could. So I'm not,
I mean, you think about the teams that Cleveland has lost to. The Twins have a great rotation, and the Twins. It's an interesting division to be in right now because there's a lot of talent, and we came into this week feeling pretty hot, like hot stuff. Yep. After sweeping the Pirates, and
I'm done celebrating that. That was the Pirates suck ass. They're horrible. We beat a horrible team. Good job. It's great, fantastic. Who cares?
Splitting the season series with the Reds. The thing that is this was a week of the worst kind of aspects of this roster. Just sort of all coming to a head, and then let's just move into that conversation right now. Losing CJ Cron is sort of a big morale blow, more than it might be a baseball blow. Obviously, he was performing well, but I don't know that it was losing CJ Cron is not the difference in this season. But not seeing him play is definitely. It takes one of the potential excitements out. It moves Jamer over to first as opposed to having him at third. It does, and he was playing lights out defense at third base. Cron was playing very well at first. Both those, you think back to the series against the Reds and Cron's handful of unassisted double plays, just great plays at first base. And so, there's not a lot of bright spots necessarily to talk about in the week, but losing CJ Cron for the year is tough. Now, so let's talk about CJ Cron, and this will get us into a little bit of Al Avila. At what point do we start to try and get CJ Cron signed long term? Because I think we liked what we saw. We have to assume that he's going to come back more or less at the same level. Yeah, and perhaps other teams haven't paid attention because he's been playing for the Tigers, and so maybe we can. What I don't want Al to do is think that we can put this off.
Well, he will.
Somebody else comes in.
Yeah, I mean that's Al Avila. I mean he hasn't thought a logical thought ever in his life. He's just a complete dumbass. But I think with the CJ Cron thing, that's going to be interesting to see. Is I would of course love to see him back. I think a reason too why morale is low because although CJ Cron will not make or break this season. He definitely would have helped get wins, but I don't think he is that kind of player where it's not like you're losing Mike Trout, like with all due respect to CJ Cron. But the main reason CJ Cron was brought in, was he was to protect Cabrera in that lineup. And I'm not saying Scope can't do that, but there's definitely everything was flowing well, and you can't get mad at that because it's an injury. Injuries happen. We knew this year in 2020 injuries were going to be more out there more than ever, more apparent more than ever. So that's just kind of the name of the game. But at what point, do we see the Tigers then try to, do some sort of deal? I don't know. I think maybe a 1-year contract might be in the cards. I'd be surprised anything beyond that. Because also you got to think from the Tigers' perspective too. They just, they brought him for a 1-year deal this year. on a 60-game season already short, and then he gets hurt. Is he going to be ready to go to start next year? I mean, maybe that's why he did the surgery right now, so he's not going to have to worry about losing playing time in 2021. But I think you could definitely see maybe like a 1-year deal, and I would love to see it. I would gladly welcome it, and maybe at that point in time or mid-season next year, Torque's up, and Crone can kind of help him out. I know Torque's going to play third. That's the narrative we're going with, but we all assume eventually he's going to first. I hope to see him back. It sucks. Again, not that he's a make or break player. He's no Mike Trout or Mookie Betts, but he was just a good dude to have in the lineup. Seemed like he was fitting in really well with the clubhouse and the organization, which is always a positive. And his bat-to-back Miggy, that 3-4 combo was a pretty nice 1-2 punch. And now, again, not that Scope can't do it, but now you're mixing and matching the lineup. And right now, everybody's banged up. Nico left the game today. We just got Cameron Maben back. I mean, it's just everyone's banged up right now. It's not great. This was a really bad week, even outside of going 1-5. I tweeted out the honeymoon phase is over. It is more than over. The success of whatever that sweep was last week in Pittsburgh and those couple of games we took against, or the Reds, early on in the season, it's done. It's over with. We can't beat teams in our own division. And if you can't beat teams in your own division, you're never going to win. So, it's either figure it out or just stay home. Honestly, stay home. I mean, it was – and the guys are trying, but they looked lifeless. And honestly, I don't blame the players. I always wonder from the side of the position players, how do you think the position players feel when they are down early 3-0, 4-0 like they usually are because the starting pitching utterly sucks, and then they fight back to tie it up, get a 1-run lead, and then immediately in the next half of the top inning, the lead's gone. The lead's gone again.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how I would be able to handle it. And not that has only happened a few times. That's pretty much been the epitome of Tigers baseball for as long as I can remember. Pitching sucks, offense comes back around and gets it, and then they give it up. And there's never a matter of like giving it up 1 or 2 innings down the road. It's right away. It is immediately after they come back and fight and get those runs. If I was some of these hitters, I'd like to take some of these pitchers back behind a building and have a talking to them. Be like, we got to figure something out. I'm doing my job. Start doing yours, or we're going to have problems.
Yeah, because you think about it, it's not the defense in the field has been pretty great. Like, there's not been a lot of, I can think of maybe 3 like real plays over the course of the first third of the season that like the defense would like to have back, but that results in like maybe a run. The Tigers have been given up a lot of runs this year, and most of them have been from the result of walks and guys getting on base that way, as opposed to they're giving guys bases as opposed to guys earning bases against this team, and that's a really, really unfortunate aspect of it. And like, even, I mean, I tweeted it the other day yesterday, it was that blown double play that should have been an easy double play, but blown throw from the pitcher to second base was sort of the epitome of this season. So of what it means to be a Tigers fan in 2020, that it should have been easy in that spot, and it just wasn't.
One thing that infuriates me more than anything, you touched on it, are the walks, and in particular the leadoff walks. And then my favorite thing is every time they walk a leadoff hitter, these pitchers have this look in their eyes like, oh, how did that happen? And it's like, well, why don't you tell us? You're the one doing it. Is there a miscommunication with the catchers? Are you guys not on the same game plan? Or do you just flat out not have the stuff to pitch at the major league level? And, I know I'm probably coming down a bit harsh right now and, big critiques, but you know what? I just watched them go 1-5. They haven't beaten the Cleveland Indians since April of 2019, over a year ago. We're getting dangerously close to, it's almost been a year and a half since they've beaten this team that is in their division. If it was a team like the Cubs or the Marlins or the Giants, I wouldn't give a crap. We barely see them as is. But when you're going to see a team in your division and you can't beat them, you're never going to win. Ever. It doesn't matter if you beat the White Sox, the Twins, and the Royals every single game of the season. If you can't beat one team and lose as much as they do to the Indians, you're never going to win anything.
We've got them 4 games this week.
Yeah, they're going. I don't know if they're going to win. I'm saying no. I will believe it when I see it.
Well, I mean, the question is, who's going to pitch this week? Like that, and we talked about that. You talked about that at the beginning of the episode. There's no Spencer Turnbull can't come take the ball
every 5 days,
every 4 or 5 days straight. Even like at a certain point, I would take Turnbull on short rest over many of the options that we have. But you can only do that so many times. We've got Nova, who has been pitching like fine on the IL right now.
Yeah, he's on the IL. We said he's the innings eater, and he is the innings eater. But as part of your job as an innings eater, you got to go innings, but you got to at least keep your team in the ball game. What he did the other day was a monstrosity. I mean, my God, talk about the wheels falling off. And but no, here's the thing. I know everyone wants Casey Mize right now, and not only do we want Casey Mize, this is not only a want, it is now a necessity. We need him. Who else is going to pitch? Who else is literally going to go out there and throw throw on the mound? We have nobody. You have Nova's on the IL, Zimmerman's on the IL. Spence is good, but he can't pitch every day. Michael Fulmer can't go more than 3 innings without giving up a home run. Daniel Norris is. I'd much rather see Daniel Norris getting more of these starts than Fulmer right now. At least I feel a little bit more confident with Norris than I do Fulmer. Alexander, I think, belongs in the pen. I think that's where he does his best work. And then literally after that, who is left? Ronnie Garcia? Who? Yeah. I mean, there is no. You need to either go out and get someone, or you need to call up these guys. I mean, who cares? Who cares? Soon this season's going to be out of our hands. So just call up everybody. Almost that's where I'm at right now. Also,
and the thing is, go ahead.
I'm just going to say this: send Carson Fulmer to the moon. Option that man so far out of Detroit that he can't even get a bus ticket back into the city. He is abysmal. He is so bad. That ball that I think was Franmil Reyes hit to dead center, my God. And Carson Fulmer, every time he comes in and pitches like Matt Boyd, he's not getting any better. He gets worse and worse with each appearance. Get him the hell out of there. He can't do anything right. There's a reason why he was such a big pick with the Sox, and then that's even with him being such a high draft pick, they cut him because he sucks. He needs to go. But the whole team sucks right now. And I mean, I shouldn't say the whole team. That's unfair. The offense, although, they left some guys on base today. They made some sloppy base running decisions. The offense, at least I can still confidently say, like, if they're down 3-1, I feel confident in, like, that something they can come back and fight and get back in it. I haven't given up. The offense is much more improved from last year. So that's that. But they just don't have any pitching. They just don't have any starting pitch.
Like, and you think about this bullpen is doing pretty well, but they can't go 6 innings every game. They can't go 5 1/3. They gotta be able to rest at times, and that's how we can win multiple games in a row. We don't go win a game on Monday and not win again until who knows when against looking at this next week, because it's the same week we had this week.
Yeah,
and they could very easily go 1-5 again. 1-6, I guess, 2-5. And that's the scary thing. We talked about this on last week's episode as well, about how this 2-week span of the season is the pivot that's going to tell us where are we, and are we actually going to be able to make a run for the playoffs? And at this point, I don't, unless something crazy happens this week and this team plays way, way, way above where they were this week, I don't know that that's going to happen. And moving that, and like the Casey Mize situation, exactly. Like, we are past the point where if you are attempting to manipulate service time, that you would want to keep these guys down. So that's not a reason anymore. It is absolute BS that these guys need to up their. We have starters that can't go more than 3 innings up with us. So who cares if these guys can only go 4? Bring them up. They're at least as useful as Norris and Fulmer are right now. Yeah. And let's go. Let's bring them up. Let's see what they have. The worst thing that happens is that they, keep us in some close games that we can't win. And, I don't anticipate these guys coming up and really getting blown up. And, maybe that's just because I'm looking at these starters that we have that are that are throwing really bad games, and they're only getting blown up every so often. Like we're definitely getting out of games, but they're not getting blown up in the way that I'm like, man, that would destroy that kid's confidence in his career.
Yeah. Well, I think I saw a tweet. That's what I was just looking at. So Boyd's starting tomorrow. I mean, God help us. I mean, what else can you say? But it's just been bad. And then I think Turnbull's pitching Thursday. So that leaves Tuesday and Wednesday just wide open. We know it won't be Nova. We know it won't be Fulmer. We know it won't be Zimmerman. So that leaves – you'll probably see Daniel Norris in there, you'd imagine, because he pitched yesterday after Nova got lit up. Was it Friday?
Yeah, I think it was
Friday. I think it was Friday
that he came in, because he was supposed to piggyback today.
Yeah. So you'll assume that you see Norris, which that's fine, I guess. I mean, again, I'd rather see Norris get more opportunities right now than a guy like Fulmer. But I bet I know what they're going to do. I bet here's what I'm thinking. Unless they throw a Hail Mary and they call up Casey Mize, which I would love. Maybe it's not even a Hail Mary. Maybe it's in like the talks now. Maybe that Nova's gone. Maybe that's kind of changed Avila's mindset, I would hope, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that until I see it. So we're going to get Boyd tomorrow. We'll get Norris on Tuesday, Tyler Alexander Wednesday, and Spence on Thursday. Or if it's not Tyler, it'll be a combination of Tyler with maybe Ronnie Garcia or Cisnero. I don't know who else it might be from there. Brian Garcia, maybe. I don't know. But, I mean, the logical thing, if you want to give Norris a start, fine. I do agree. Daniel Norris needs to be able to pitch more than 3 innings if he wants to be a starting pitcher in the major leagues. Like, that's not me being an ass. That's how it works. I mean, you got to go at least 5 to get the win. You can't just go 3 the whole time. Or maybe if he keeps going out there and throwing 1 or 2 innings, maybe we should just give up on the whole starter thing. Just keep him in the bullpen. I mean, and it's great then if you ever get into an extra innings jam, you can have, a guy who used to start games for you. I mean, he'll go 3, 4, 5 innings if he's on. Who knows? But, yeah, I mean, you would imagine it would just make sense for Casey Mize to come up and pitch either Tuesday or Wednesday. But as we have seen a lot with this team, the things that make sense most of the time, they just choose not to do. So yeah, I hope it works out. I mean, I don't want to be so negative, but I mean, it was just it was a horrible week. And I think here's the cut and dry scenario of it all. If they don't call up Casey Mize and these guys this week, I mean, I don't see a scenario where even if they call them up, let's say next week, and we go 1-5 again, by that point in time, I think it's too late. I really do, and that's not with 60 games, folks. We gotta end the clock. We're already a fourth of the way through the season. The clock's ticking. So I honestly think that we're gonna know by the end of this White Sox. Is it a 4-game series or 3-game with the Sox? Is it 4?
I think we're 3 with the Sox, 4 with the Indians.
Let's see here. Hold please.
Nope, 4 Sox, 3. It's okay, 4. So, yeah, 4 with the Sox.
And they're all road. Well, here's the bad part too. You lost at home. You went 1-5 at home, which is horrible. And now you got to beat teams on the road. So good luck, boys. Have fun. But so I think we're going to know by the end of this Sox series what's going down. They split it. Okay, maybe there's a chance. They go they go 3-1, or somehow by the grace of God get a sweep. Okay, now we can. Maybe that was just this past week was just a rough patch, and then let's say they go 3-1, 4-0, whatever it might be against Sox. Then maybe you bring in Casey Mize next week if you're not doing it this week, and he's kind of that late season or mid season kind of energy boost. But if they go 1-3, 0-4 against the Sox, it's curtains. There's no way they can, because then they got to go to Cleveland and beat Cleveland at their home turf, and that's just not going to happen. I will not believe that they can actually beat Cleveland until I see it. I'm done speculating. I'm done being like, well, if Turnbull's on the mound, maybe they've got – no. They have no shot in beating Cleveland until I actually legitimately see it.
On that note, with Spencer pitching on Thursday in that final game of the Sox series, we won't see him against Cleveland next weekend. Yep. And so who will pitch against Cleveland next weekend? Yeah. And I mean pitch, not just throw the ball at the catcher, because that's kind of what a lot of these guys are doing right now, is just throwing it over there. And they're not throwing strikes, and that's
the leadoff walks kill me. I mean,
I would way rather see them give up a leadoff home run than because they have been putting it in the zone than walk a guy.
I think what's the guy? I didn't even heard of the guy until I saw him today. Hold on a second. I don't mean to be on my phone, but I'm trying to find Franmil Reyes. Right, that's his name.
Yeah.
Did he have 2 home runs today?
Yes.
Yeah, he had 2. He had 2.
Yeah.
He had a couple of series. I mean, the guy was, dynamite. But I mean, what I was getting at was, I'm with you. I would much rather see them hit a ball into Ford Field than have to see a leadoff walk. Because then what happens is sloppy play, then a 2-run homer or a 2-run double or a double, whatever, extra base hits, and it's over. So, it's bad. It's bad look right now for the Tigers.
So let's look a little bit ahead at this week that's coming. We have the White Sox and the Indians again. My biggest thing that I kind of take positively from this week. This is the positive spin. This is the best positive spin that I can give, is that Gardy got thrown out today.
Yeah,
Cameron Maybin got thrown out today.
Yeah,
and I think that that to me, they're angry. There is some emotion behind how bad they've been playing, and hopefully that can translate into them getting their heads screwed on straight and actually channeling it into good baseball, and that they don't just become angry losers as we go through. But it was finally nice to see Gardy get a little bit of fire going on in a situation that was, I think, a yet another situation where Detroit just gets hosed by the umpires.
That was a horrendous call, and I don't know how that call was even made. I mean, and the way I've always understood it is outfielder throws up his hands, it's a dead ball, or if the umpire does, in this case, I know the first base umpire threw his hands up too. Well, if he did, 1, he threw them up way too soon, and 2, that ball was not lodged. Yeah, it stopped moving. But a ball that was lodged is what happened to Kristen Stewart a few days ago in left field, where he had to get on his hands and knees pretty much and start digging to get the ball out. That's a lodged ball. And they didn't overturn that, but they overturned this one. Horrible call. Horrendous call by the umpires, and I think it was truly a momentum shifter to the side of the Indians. And I was happy to see Gardy get tossed. He had every right to be angry, because that was an absolute atrocious BS garbage call by that umpire. And there's just no excuse for that. No excuse at all. And I know it's like when you don't want to be the guy when your team's losing, like, oh, well, the umps hosed us. Like, it's the umps. But when you've lost now 20 in a row to one team dating back to last season, you need all the help you can get. And in that particular case, we were robbed. We were legitimately robbed and screwed out of a run. Again, didn't matter because we ended up losing by more than a run. But who knows? You get that 4-3 lead. Maybe momentum is different. Then you can kind of feel it. Maybe you're getting those bullpen guys going. You just don't know. It's a game of what ifs at times. And the if there is, who knows what would have happened. But we definitely got screwed there. No doubt about it.
It's really one of those situations where you think about, like, if a pitcher is throwing really lights out, the strike zone starts to expand a little bit, and it becomes easier for him to get calls that maybe should have been balls. And similar thing here, right? Cleveland, clearly the outfielder couldn't make that play because the ball was lodged, not because this thing bounced well for Detroit. And you see it, especially Detroit fans are very used to seeing it, because we're not a sexy market, and we're not the Yankees, we're not the Red Sox, we're not Cleveland, a sexy market. No, not that Cleveland is a sexy market, but Cleveland is one of the hotter teams.
You ever been to that airport? Jesus, it's like good God.
It is like, this is a particularly difficult discussion, because like I feel, as a Detroit sports fan, I feel a lot of affinity for Cleveland sports fans, because they also have a long history of just
Cleveland brings it on himself. I'm sorry. Cleveland's cocky. They've always been cocky.
That's true.
I mean, they have LeBron with the Cavs. The Indians are cocky. Indians are still just butthurt because they blew a 3-1 lead to the Cubs. That's where all their arrogance and like pissed off and they like trolling fans on Twitter comes from. You couldn't close the deal against the Cubs. You had a 3-1 lead in the World Series and you blew it because you're a bunch of idiots. That's why they're all pissed off and they play with a chip on their shoulder, because they can't get over the fact that they blew a World Series victory, 4 seasons ago. It's like, whatever, it's on you. I've never once felt bad for Cleveland. I never will feel bad for Cleveland. they've got Baker Mayfield as their quarterback, and he thinks he's like Brett Favre. And it's like, Baker, you haven't done anything. Like, it's just, I actually like Baker Mayfield. I'm not really trying to throw shade at the guy, but like, I don't know. Now I'm just getting on a Cleveland rant here.
What company does Baker Mayfield do? What does Baker Mayfield do commercials for? He's just in the stadium.
Isn't it Allstate? No,
it might be an Allstate commercial.
State Farm, maybe? No, because State Farm's Aaron Rodgers. No, because I think Baker Mayfield's State Farm too.
Yeah,
because I know Rodgers.
It might be a State Farm commercial. Either way, I like those.
I really got no beef with Baker Mayfield, that is the one team. Like, picking on the Browns is like, geez, why are you picking on them for? Like, the Browns and the Bengals. It's more so. Well, Bengals are Cincinnati, but the Browns are. You can't really pick on those guys. They've been through the ringer. But the Indians and have never had. I don't feel that bad for them. The Indians are the one team in our league I'd probably say I despise the most. Not the league, our division that I despise the most. Probably Cleveland's my number one. Fun fact. We're just here today. That's all it is.
That is a fun fact. We are, and I think that's
we're pissed off.
That's okay. I don't feel a need to belabor this episode or belabor this. So it was a terrible week. It was a terrible week of Tigers baseball, and unfortunately, looking ahead, I don't see a lot of bright spots in this coming week. Hopefully, we are proven wrong in that, and hopefully Casey Mize comes up, or otherwise, I have to stop eating Little Caesars because that's what I said I would do.
I saw that. That is self-sacrifice on your part, and I'm proud of you. Can I say one thing though before I know we want to wrap up? If this week gets out of hand, and if this time next week we're like, yeah, this is done, I would like to make a plea with ownership, management, whoever, even if it's not Casey Mize, which I don't know why you wouldn't call him up, even if the season gets blown out of proportion, just to kind of get some major league experience under his belt, because he's going to be there next year. Even outside of him, let's start seeing guys like Jake Rogers and Derek Hill and Isaac Paredes, Daz Cameron. Is Daz back yet? I haven't heard anything if he's back yet.
That's actually, I haven't actually heard that news either.
I need to look into that, because I know he was like the only person from the COVID list that I hadn't heard of, like, he'd officially come back yet. Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. We'll have to do some digging on that. That's my bad. But if things are out of control this time next week, let's start seeing some other guys appear. I mean, let's get these guys who are the quote unquote future some experience when it doesn't matter. The season's going to be out of our hands. The season then will be over in a month or whatever it is. Maybe 5 weeks, whatever. Let's get these guys some innings, some experience. Willie Castro's been up. Had a real kind of great first game. I mean, it just makes sense. If the season is out of our grasp by this time next week, just start doing something. I mean, my God.
Because you come out of this week, then we have 3 against the Cubs, then we have our first set against the Twins, and so like it does not get easier going forward here. And so I mean, like I think, like, for me, the season's not over if by some miracle we arrive at this point next week and we are still 1 or 2 games below 500. Then I think we're still in an okay spot, but. Yeah, this is the spot. I said it earlier in the season after coming off the draft when we were a little hot on Al Avila. We thought he nailed the draft, and I still think that. I think he had a great draft. But that, the way in which Avila and Gardy were going to handle this season. And some things out of interviews, even the way that, Gardy has talked about when asked about Casey Mize, that, he needs his GM to announce things before. Like, there's not to read too much into like Gardy being tight-lipped, but I do sense that the direction in which Gardy would be handling personnel is different than the way Al is handling personnel. Which is disappointing because I trust Gardy's baseball IQ much more than I trust Al's. But like we talked about the way in which Al managed personnel this season on a 60-game stretch was really going to prove himself or disprove himself as a great GM. That there are certainly like things we can look at his record where we can be like, okay, yeah, maybe he is actually good at this. But in-season personnel management so far has left a lot to be desired, especially when we know there is so much talent in Toledo right now, and we just aren't seeing it from the guys that are in Detroit. There's not a reason. There are better guys in Toledo at this moment that are ready to come into Major League Baseball games, that are ready to compete. And these guys have looked lifeless in a way that they aren't ready, they aren't competing. Mm-hmm. And if they aren't competing, let these guys come up and prove that they're competitors.
Well, and now it's going to get more interesting too, because we have Nova out, so I felt like we needed one pitcher before Nova, and that's when we still had him. So now we're looking at, you probably need two. I don't know what's going on with Nico. I know he left the game today. Let's hope it's nothing too serious. Got to look into that. But I mean, it just seems like it's time. It seems like I'm sorry. I always feel like I kind of pick on the guy, and I really have nothing against him, but if we're out this time next week, if we're completely out of it, if we end up going these next 7 games, 1-6 or 2-5, and we're like, okay, this is pretty much it. And then you got teams like the Cubs, the Twins coming, and you just know it's only going to get worse before it gets better. Let me see Jake Rogers get some at-bats at catcher. Well, let's see that. He's the quote-unquote catcher of the future. So give the guy a chance to earn that moniker. Like, let's hear it. I mean, let's see it with our own eyes. So, we'll have to wait and see. I think, though, I think it's very generous of you to say that a week from now, that if we're still 1 or 2 under 500, we're still not officially out of it. And honestly, I kind of agree with that sentiment. However, I really feel that by the end of this Sox series, we're going to know where we're at, because unless they, I'm not even going to say it. I was going to say something with Cleveland. They figure out a way to win games in Cleveland and beat, but I'm not even giving them that yet, because I don't even foresee that happening. So for me, it's the Sox series. We will, if they can pull out a series split or somehow a win, I'll go, okay, I'll stick around. Not that I would never not stick around. Let me get that fair. I'm always going to watch when I'm angry, but I'll be more, inclined to be like, okay, I'll see let's take it to the next series, and we'll go series by series. But I mean, if they leave this Sox series 1-3, 0-4, it's it.
Yeah, well, because I mean, I don't think at all. I have no inclination that they will do better than a split against Cleveland. A series split to me against Cleveland would be a major victory next week. So really winning one against Cleveland next week would be a major victory, as it hasn't happened in over a year, as you noted earlier in the show. And, I think that's, one of the, and I have to keep reminding myself, I was like, if before this season began, you told me we'd be at the 1/3 mark of the year, and the Tigers would be one game below 500, I'd be like, oh, great. They're way overperforming expectation. And so far that is, true. But the issue is that it's a massive downward trajectory right now that they gotta pull out of this nosedive.
Here's the thing. Like, I don't want to do an analysis of every win. We beat Cincinnati when the season was just beginning. We got a couple wins against a split against Kansas City, and then we swept the Pirates. We haven't beaten anyone. Like, Cincinnati's whatever. Pirates aren't good. Royals aren't good. Like, we have yet to actually get. And we had that nice one against the Sox last week. I'll give us that one. But I mean, we need to see wins against the Cubs and the Indians and the Twins and the White Sox. And I guess we'll know soon enough if that's going to go down. But yeah, for me, it's the Sox series. Let's start there. You need at least a split just to kind of have some minor momentum going into the Cleveland series. Because if you lose this, you get swept, it's over. Just forget it. And I hate to end on a negative note, but I mean, it was a negative week. It was a bad week. Horrendous pitching. We lost a key guy with CJ Cron. Avila seems stubborn, and umpires boned us today. But even then, it didn't really matter because we boned ourselves. So, curtains.
Yeah,
maybe.
Couldn't have said it any better myself, Luke. But we will, we'll still be here this week. We'll find a time to go live. It could be a real ranty show, depending on how the week is going. So you won't want to miss that. Follow us on Twitter at @Mish_Trumbull, and like us on Facebook, where we go live during the week, and we will be talking Tigers baseball. Hopefully as this season turns around, but even if it doesn't, we'll still be there talking Tigers baseball. Luke, have a great week.
See you, buddy. Have a good one.